Welcome to Mastering CS Candid Leader Insights, the podcast where we deep dive into the world of customer success with industry leaders. I'm your host, Irina Chismash, and today's guest is Victoria Fritz, Director of Customer Success Support and Product at SocialHub. Victoria, welcome and thank you for joining me today. Your career path is intrigue. How does someone start as a researcher in biochemistry, move into recruiting for the medical industry, and then transition into customer success? What's your story? How did you end up working in CS?
Hi, Rina. Thanks for having me. Yeah, I think CS is actually quite a diverse market, isn't it? There are people from so many backgrounds. You can't study CS. You just kind of end up there. And it was actually my story. I spent some time in academia. I did my PhD in biology, doing something completely different. And I found out that I was looking for a new direction to go. More dynamic, something a little bit to do with sales. And I didn't have any idea. I was super young. And I ended up in recruiting for a pharmaceutical industry because I was basically doing the job as on the other side. And through this deeper understanding of the HR industry and consulting biggest companies, I was basically headhunted myself by LinkedIn at that time and ended up in CS. And I was not sure what CS was. It was back in 2015. I was not sure, is it support role? Is it sales role? Is it consultancy, some kind of weird type of consultancy? So that was all brand new there. And customer success wasn't even a job title. It was like you needed to each time explain what you're doing. Some years down the line, we are here. I think almost everyone who is somehow has something to do with software now know what CS is. It's super fun to see this development.
How did the research role and the academic background that you have helped you in the CS position? What were the skills that were formed in previous roles that you felt like really made a difference when you joined the CS role?
I think this analytical mindset to make sure that you can step out a little bit from daily doing and small ups and downs and look at the whole bigger picture and be asking the right questions, basically. I think the main differentiator in strategic sales is really understanding the customer's problem. What is actually their problem? What are they trying to achieve? And it's very helpful to be able to a little bit go less emotions, more data, more analytical. And you learn that sometimes in a hard way by doing some research. So that's really helpful.
Walk me through a typical day for you as the director of CS at SocialHub. What's on your plate?
Let me a little bit explain how our organization works. So SocialHub is around about 100 people strong at the moment. We serve DACH region and France as a software, and we sell social media software. So this is our market. We have 360 degrees CS. So the main CS role is upselling, cross-selling, onboarding, and the typical CS consultancy. And I also have a support team who, in our case, basically reacting to customer questions, issues on the phone or email. And the product part of this role is actually very new, super new, it's a couple of months. I'm acting more as a person who is aligning three teams, because what we found out at the moment, the situation out there is tough. It's getting tougher. It's a lot of competition. The market has changed, and we need to make sure that we align all teams that deliver value to the customer in the best possible way. What's on my plate? Very different. I'm sometimes very hands-on. I'm jumping into customer escalation. Sometimes it's very strategic. So working with leadership on next step as a company, and also looking at a bigger picture, customer health scores development, looking at the tools we're using, evaluating initiatives. So from very operational to very strategic, it can be very different.
You partially answered my next questions, because you mentioned the CS support and also product. And I know that in order to exceed in the CS role, you need all those type of skills. But I'm curious, how is your team set up? Who do you report to? And most important, what are you reporting on? And speaking about strategic alliances, how do you make sure that you reach that alignment between the teams? But first, let's start with the roles that you have in your team.
We're a lean setup, so we're not a big corporation. We are kind of SMB company. So my direct report is to CRO, and he's reporting to CEO of the company. And actually, in our case, CEO is a person who is very involved in the product. So we found out it's very, very important in our market to make sure all the leadership team is more or less hands-on with the customer or with the product. And my role is basically really team alignment. So my core team is customer success managers, senior CSMs, and customer support agents. And kind of dotted lines to products. So I deal with product managers who make sure they conceptualize features the best possible way that is serving our customers. So the role is basically like kind of sitting on 3 chairs. I have proactive folks doing with the customers, it's CS and senior CS. I have folks who react to customer queries, it's support. And I talk to PMs, so product managers, about how we like basically solve with what we deliver the customer, that we don't just deliver a feature for delivering a feature, but we are really very, very close to our customers.
And what are the KPIs that are most important and you are monitoring on a monthly basis, let's say?
So I monitor a lot of KPIs. I think it's like everyone nowadays, we look at 1,000 different numbers. I have a part of my job where I'm looking at like on a financial part of things, like are we getting money into our bank account? But the strategical part is looking at the net revenue retention. It's our like main North Star KPI, how our customers are growing and how like basically are we upselling, are we preventing churn in the way that we are able to grow through the existing business only? If something like that would happen, that we're just like not closing too many new deals, we're still able to grow through our existing customers. And this is like the main KPI we are talking about with all 3 teams. Obviously, each team has their own KPIs. You can't compare product with support. In support, we're looking at like first reply time. In product, we're looking at like sprint deliveries and something like that. And in CS, we're looking also for individual upselling and churn prevention KPIs, but like the main North Star is net revenue retention. The financial part of the role, like checking on the bills and something like that, it's more like a doing than a strategic KPI.
Because you are also dotted line where you have a strategic alliance on the product side. How important is the customer feedback and how does the customer feedback influence the product roadmap? And how do you make sure that you still keep the product vision, but in the same time, accommodating the customer feedback?
I think this is like the most important question in SaaS, isn't it? So how you make sure we still remain scalable and also accommodate the customer feedback. The answer is actually very complex. What we try to do is that we segment our customers in the first place. So obviously we will not ever be able to say yes to everything. So we segment our customers. We have our ideal customer profile identified. And we look basically at the situation of the customer, if they are like fitting to our ICP or not. And then we collect all the issues, all the feedback, and then we try to score them and accommodate them in our roadmap. So it's not like we are not saying yes to anything. And also we are not dismissing the comments from smaller customers, because I think that is really important. Sometimes maybe a big corporation have completely different needs like an SMB company. And it doesn't mean an SMB company doesn't have a use case with us. So that's a balance. So we work with product board as a tool, basically, where we collect all the feedback. Product team using a scoring system to evaluate all these feedbacks that are coming in. And we enable CS and support to bring all those information to product. That doesn't mean that we say yes to everything, but that means we evaluate things. And it's basically feature by feature basis. Sometimes it's more like customer led. And sometimes it's more like we still need to make sure we are staying focused on what we want to do, because, well, obviously customers are not our product managers. They have their own vision of things. And I think the good example there is people wanted faster horses, but some person built a car. And it's actually solving the problem even better than getting a faster horse. So that's a balance. But I think even having a central tool where all the teams are aligned is helpful. And also being able to, we're still small enough to be that flexible and looking feature per feature basis, what we can adapt and what we're not.
You mentioned you are influencing the CS, the support, and also the product. I have to ask, what's your relationship with sales?
I think there is always some tension between sales and CS, because CS is on the receiving part, so we just take the deals that are coming. But we have 2 very super amazing strategical teams. Sales team, they're looking at this long-term situation with the customers. So we are definitely like ping-ponging situations and saying like, hey, this went well, this went maybe not that well, or what is the situation? But definitely for us, it's an area we can still improve. It's never perfect. It's still like, yeah, give and take. And I think for most of sales folks, we also in sales, but a little bit of a different sales, and it helps. I think if you have an organization where you have sales separated from CS, it's a little bit more tricky. For us, we have more of a common understanding. We're all revenue carrying. We all have the same troubles, like hitting our numbers and staying tough. So that helps a little bit with this alignment. But I think we definitely could do better. And it's just about being open, what's on the plate of the other person, understanding how they measured. And yeah. Relationship is good, but are we perfect? No way. We definitely can do more on that end.
How do you make sure that your day-to-day CS work is actually impacting the business KPIs and the growth of the business? Because I know under CS can follow a lot of things. And I think you can end up easily being burned out, keeping yourself busy, but not working on the things that actually move the needle. I'm curious, what's your secret recipe of actually making sure that you are working on the things that matter?
I can totally relate to what you are saying, because sometimes if CS goes in this super strategic consultancy direction, you can lose the ground a little bit. What I'm telling to my team, everyone, existing customers pay our salaries for everyone in the company. We pay money to all these 100 amazing people because you're doing your job so good. And this is a kind of like looking at the revenue development. It's a main thing. We do it more or less every team meeting. We go through opportunities. We look at the development of the customers. That helps to ground this a little bit, because you can also be carried away by some strategical projects and whatever. But that's the basis. We want to see our customers succeed and grow. And this is direct business impact. This NRR is presented to investors. This NRR number is presented in every C-level meeting, you name it. So this is something very down to earth. So my advice would be pick one KPI and report it till the very, very top. And it's very, very helpful for the team, because then they have an impact on really strategical stuff and not only looking like on some fancy numbers maybe no investor would care about.
Remaining on the lens of the team, when you are building your team and when you are hiring, what's something you absolutely won't compromise on in terms of skills?
You know what? Positive attitude. Because in CS, you deal with problems. You have customers calling you and telling about their problems, their situation. In support, you react to customer issues, problems, bugs, release issues, wherever it would be. And if you lose this positive attitude, if you become drawn down a little bit by that, it's absolutely mirrors to the customer. I think to be resilient, to be able to stay positive, to be able to stay hands-on and doing stuff is a key in order not to be burned out by the job, to be honest, because also CS, sometimes they're torn apart by internal stuff, product stuff, technical stuff, onboarding stuff, whatever you have. And just to stay grounded and with positive outlook on things, I found out it's a super crucial role. And it's hard to teach. If someone is more like, after one bad call, they're down for a day, it's very, very hard to coach. So we are, I think, people with good humor. Having a nice laugh after tough calls saves a lot.
How do you test it out in the recruitment process, this part? Because those soft skills are harder to test, I would say.
A couple of things you definitely can ask, for example, how you dealt with challenges. This is one of my favorite questions. Like, give me an example of a challenge recent. It doesn't matter if it's a business challenge or challenge in your personal life. I like sometimes to hear the challenges about personal life more, because people open up about that than the business case. And you can hear already it's in the conversation, like how they deal also with the conversation. How are they super stressed and just kind of in the fight or flight mode, or they're relaxed, or how they're welcoming you as well as a hiring manager. So it's a lot of reading in between the lines, but also asking like directly questions, dealing with challenges, dealing with downsides of the job, like how you recover after a bad customer call or something like that. It's helpful.
In this situation, it's very hard to keep the team motivated. And you mentioned that CS usually has a lot of things on their plate. There's a lot of pressure because they need to deliver the numbers. Customers are the ones, like you said, they're paying our paychecks every month. So I think every CSM these days is feeling that pressure. How do you keep the team motivated and together in tough times?
Being transparent. Saying like, also, I'm struggling myself with keeping those balls in the air and saying like, yeah, I know what you're talking about. And it's also like sharing my own fuck-ups, failures and something like, for example, if I don't know, if I forgot something or I missed a deadline, say like, look, guys, that's exactly what I was talking to you. I'm like super bad prioritizing things. Being humble, being honest, trying to be as transparent as I can be. Also on the like personal level, be like, hey, tell me what's going on. Helps a lot. I think if we are stay caught up in this situation without being able to look at the bigger picture is very tough. So serving this bigger picture and saying, hey guys, yeah, the days are tough, but look how far we got it, helps relax the tension of the day. And I think we have quite a good vibe in the team that helps a lot. If people can just have a laugh and have a chat and talk about something else, to disconnect a little bit from the daily business, it's super helpful.
Are you guys remote or are you in the office?
We're 100% remote. So it's not a challenge. We need to really find a way through WebEx, camera, whatever it would be, to still be human, to still open up.
You mentioned about being transparent and humble and sharing your own fuck-ups. What's the biggest one that you've made when you joined a new organization, or not necessarily a new organization, but what's one mistake that you are proud of it, I would say?
You know what? I underestimated the power of defocus. When I was a new leader, you got caught up in all the strategic initiatives, and you do this and you do that, and you like make a customer health score, and you adjust NPS or do whatever, like caught up in all of that strategic stuff. What is really important is to keep focusing on the customer, because the power of this defocus relieves you from the ground, and you make decisions maybe that are not impacting the customer. And whatever I try to do nowadays, and still it doesn't matter what I do, it doesn't matter to whom I'm talking, to keep customer first, to keep customer in the top of my head, doesn't matter what we are doing. If we are introducing a new CRM, or if we are discussing a new customer journey tool, or whatever we do, so still the focus will be customer. Otherwise you get caught up in all the strategic stuff out there, and maybe your customer doesn't care about it. Most probably they don't care about it. They want to be served in the best way that what they care about.
I want to remain on the recruiting part, because you were on the other side of the table, I would say. And I want to take advantage of the experience that you used to have. I know that a lot of senior CS folks are sitting on the bench looking for their next role. So what's your piece of advice for the recruiter's perspective? What's the most important thing when trying to land a new job?
I think don't be afraid to step one step back in one place, to step two up in another. Our HR position sets like some standard. Maybe in one position, the product was like amazing. In another place, the team was amazing. But if you have this mindset, we want to have everything plus one in every role, that's unrealistic. To be able to step back and be honest with yourselves, to find out what you can compromise in order to enable you to step up 2 steps in another way, it's crucial. For me as well. So like I need to compromise on a lot of stuff. Sometimes it's location, sometimes it's product, sometimes of a setting. And that's maybe not the most comfortable part of job search, but it's a necessary one.
Looking ahead, what's your main goal for the rest of the year?
To make sure we serving our customers in these tough situations the best possible way. And we position ours in the market, that we are like standing out in comparison to our competitors. That's the main thing. Very easy.
And what do you need in order to make sure that you deliver on this goal?
Absolute alignment with all revenue-facing folks. And by revenue-facing, I'm including product as well. We need to be pulling on the same string, every one of us. And we want to make sure that we are like also not demotivated by some small setbacks or something. It's really a big goal. It's not what you can achieve in a quarter or so. It's a strategic move. And this is something like also not that tangible sometimes for people in the team, because it's just something very blah, blah, blah. But to make sure we translate this blah, blah, blah into like daily doings.
Last question. Got any go-to resources for people in customer success? How do you stay updated?
I think customer success is super diverse right now. So like customer success in software, like customer success outside of like in most every industry. Make sure you're an industry expert. You're not only expert in CS processes and CS as a bubble. Make sure you're an industry expert as well. Like for us, it's social media, or it can be HR, or it can be tech, or it can be medicine, it can be whatever. Make sure you don't lose this connection, because I think the most value we deliver to our customers is when we speak their language. We understand their challenges and we know what they're talking about. In order of like overall CS, I think there is no CS organization like the others. So like observe as much as you can from podcasts, LinkedIn groups. There are lots of resources out there, but still make sure you're connected to your industry, because this is the main value for your customers. They don't care about CS, they care about their industries, their stuff.
Thank you so much for sharing your story and the insights with me today, Victoria. It's been great working with you. Before we wrap up, is there anything else you'd like to share with our listeners? Any final thought, advice?
I think just we're all in the same boat. Lots of people have some challenges. Just reach out to CS folks, maybe from your last job, or just found someone on LinkedIn and ask for advice. I think we have quite a great community. You will get an answer if you ask. So just don't be afraid to ask.
Awesome. Thank you again for joining us. And until next time, on Mastering CS Candid Leader Insights, keep striving for success in all your customer journeys. Thank you. Bye.